Hamer was released on June 12, 1963. She needed more than a month to recuperate from the beatings and never fully recovered. Though the incident left profound physical and psychological effects, including a blood clot over her left eye and permanent damage on one of her kidneys, Hamer returned to Mississippi to organize voter registration drives, including the 1963 Freedom Ballot, a mock election, and the Freedom Summer Initiative the following year. She was known to the volunteers of Freedom Summer as a motherly figure who believed that the civil rights effort should be multi-racial in nature. In addition to her Northern guests, Hamer played host to Tuskegee University student activists Sammy Younge Jr. and Wendell Paris. Younge and Paris grew to become profound activists and organizers under Hamer's tutelage. Younge was murdered in 1966 at a gas station in Macon County, Alabama, for using a whites-only restroom. In 1964, Hamer helped co-found the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, MFDP, in an effort to prevent the regional all-white Democratic Party's attempts to stifle African American voices, and to ensure there was a party for all people that did not stand for any form of exploitation and discrimination, especially towards minorities. Following the founding of the MFDP, Hamer and other activists traveled to the 1964 Democratic National Convention to stand as the official delegation from the state of Mississippi. Hamer's televised testimony was interrupted because of a scheduled speech that President Lyndon B. Johnson gave to 30 governors in the White House East Room, but most major news networks broadcast her testimony later that evening to the nation, giving Hamer and the MFDP much exposure. All of this is on account we want to register, to become first-class citizens, and if the Freedom Democratic Party is not seated now, I question America. Is this America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, where we have to sleep with our telephones off the hooks because our lives are threatened daily because we want to live as decent human beings in America? Senator Hubert Humphrey tried to propose a compromise on Johnson's behalf that would give the Freedom Democratic Party 2 seats. He said this would lead to a reformed convention in 1968. The MFDP rejected the compromise, with Hamer saying, "We didn't come all the way up here to compromise for no more than we'd gotten here. We didn't come all this way for no 2 seats when all of us is tired." Afterward, all the white members from the Mississippi delegation walked out. In 1968, the MFDP was finally seated after the Democratic Party adopted a clause that demanded equality of representation from their state's delegations. In 1972, Hamer was elected as a National Party delegate. Hamer traveled around the country speaking at various colleges, universities, and institutions. She was not rich, as confirmed by her clothing and vernacular. Moreover, Hamer was a short and stocky poor black woman with a deep Southern accent, which gave rise to ridicule in the minds of many in her audiences. Although she often gave speeches, she was often patronized by both black and white people because she was not formally educated. For instance, activists like Roy Wilkins said Hamer was ignorant, and President Lyndon B. Johnson looked down on her. When Hamer was being considered to speak as a delegate at the 1964 Democratic National Convention, Hubert Humphrey said, "The president will not allow that illiterate woman to speak from the floor of the convention." In 1964, Hamer received an honorary degree from Tuskegee College, much to the dismay of a group of black intellectuals who thought she was undeserving of such an honor because she was unlettered. On the other hand, Hamer had supporters like Ella Baker, Bob Moses, Charles McLaurin, and Malcolm X who believed in her story and in her ability to speak. These supporters and others like them believed that despite Hamer's illiteracy, people who have struggled to support themselves in large families, people who have survived in Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi, have learned some things we need to know. Hamer was known to evoke strong emotions in listeners to her speeches indicative of her telling it like it is oratorical style.